Hi, Susie here again. I'm going to attempt to explain to you what is an episode. My definition of what I call an episode is based on my experience and the experience I've read about in others that have this type of autoimmune soup. I haven't met one person that just has only one diagnosis. So mine are small fiber neuropathy, Sjogren's, dysautonomia, gastroparesis, fibromyalgia, POTS, and other associated issues like insomnia, tinnitus, chronic UTIs, high histamine levels at times, and small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. And recently, iron deficiency anemia, which is actually causing me a lot of issues right now because I fall a lot more than normal. For some reason, there's an uptick. So I created a table that I will post later, and so you can see what I'm talking about. But on this table are a list of every single symptom that I have, and I add to it if I think something's happening over a regular basis. So like sweating abnormally, blurry vision, brain fog, cognitive difficulties, etc. So look for that in the future, but for now, I've mentioned that when I finally noticed these symptoms that were not going away, and we're talking years ago, I wrote them all out on a piece of paper and I just mark it down every time I had them. I didn't have the official name of what some of these things were. I just knew that I would drench myself in sweat. I would feel like my face, I couldn't feel my face. So I didn't know about dysautonomia, which is rapid heart rate, sweating excessively, all that, or small fiber neuropathy or gastroparesis. I always referred to the instances where my body went out of control: rapid heart rate, increased respiratory, and extreme sweat vest, sensitivity to temperature as an episode. For a very long time, nobody could explain these episodes to me. Not a primary care physician, rheumatologist, gland specialist, pain management, emergency department, gastroenterology, and not even the neurologist, which, had he looked at the papers that I brought with me that listed the symptoms, he would have identified that as my autonomic system that was being impacted by the SFN. We'd already done a punch biopsy, so we knew we had it, but he didn't. So I started wearing a device. I wore an iWatch, sorry. See, the cognitive stuff's kicking in right now. And that has the ability to monitor your heart rate. And what it revealed to me is that at the beginning of an episode, before I even notice it, my heart rate would increase and stay at a certain level. This alerted me that an episode is coming, and then I can mitigate it and be in a safer place. I can also then communicate it to anybody I'm hanging out with. They can then help you be safe and as comfortable as possible. My episodes can last from 5 minutes to 20 plus minutes, sometimes an hour or two. Usually I end up in the hospital on those. But when it's a standard episode, I stay seated and have plenty of fluids. My resting heart rate is anywhere from 95 to 150 beats per minute, while my blood pressure will be around 120/80 with medication. To my knowledge and my experiences, I can have normal blood pressure but have a very rapid heart rate. This is an example of a miscommunication between my brain and autonomic system, or specifically my heart. Within 5 minutes of the start of an episode, I will drench my clothes in sweat. The episode can include tremors, pain, and extreme brain fog. I can't focus. To slow my heart rate, I'll try box breathing. I have to be prepared to be freezing as soon as the sweat fest is over, because my clothes will be drenched, and then my internal gauge will say it's only 30 degrees outside. Feeling extremely hot or cold is another autonomic symptom that is impacted greatly. I can also be wearing a long sleeve flannel shirt and long pants in 90-degree weather. That can be flipped, and then I can have a sweat fest in 32-degree weather. Again, the communication between brain and senses has broken down. Impossible to name everything, but even for yourself in the beginning, track it. Your episodes may be different than mine. The most important thing to understand is that you can manage your environment to help reduce the number of episodes, or at least help them not be so bad. So I try to keep an even temperature in my house, because if it gets really hot or I'm outside in really hot weather, things go wackadoodle. Less stress. I mean, everybody knows with autoimmune, less stress. Plenty of rest and awareness. There truly is not any real rhyme or reason to when they happen. Manage the symptoms does not eliminate the episode, but it does make it more tolerable and safer. In my case, there doesn't seem to be one specific trigger, but your actual environment can be situated so that they are tolerable. So what are the takeaways from this? Realize that each person has their own set of diagnoses, symptoms, and triggers. And that's good for when you're actually supporting others too, because a lot of times, people say a certain treatment works and other people have tried it and say they don't, and it can even almost become hostile. And that's not this. Your set of symptoms, triggers, and diagnoses are unique to you, and it's just always good to be able to explain that. And that SFN manifests itself differently for each person. One of the most frustrating things is there are common symptoms that create overlap and confusion when a person is trying to figure out what is wrong with them. Rapid heart rate, something wrong with my heart. Is there something wrong with my blood pressure? Am I having an anxiety attack? I'm breathing heavy. Am I having a heart attack? I'm not. These are just all overlapping potential symptoms or answer for a symptom. So although triggers exist, you may not be able to identify triggers for each diagnosis or symptom. I know I can influence being safe and keeping the temperature even. Yeah. Symptom triggers may be similar amongst this population. So you'll hear everybody say you shouldn't eat sugar. There are some things that universally we all agree on. And each person may not have all of the symptoms. Just because you don't have a symptom doesn't mean you don't have that diagnosis. I have yet to have one of my blood work markers that usually always signifies Sjogren's test positive, but my rheumatologist has tested other things and I have Sjogren's. So, it's very confusing and difficult to manage, but giving yourself and others grace is a really good place to start. I hope that this was helpful, and I keep trying to improve them. Have a great day.